Hello everyone, Dare Skybound here, bringing you another tutorial guide. This time we're talking about that 5.1 changes to crafting because, well, it needs to be talked about. So before we begin, let's just take on the most asked question. Is it better or is it worse? That's an individual to individual basis because they've made it a lot simpler and easier to work with, but they've taken out the complexity and the challenge of it. But that complexity and challenge was a lot of random chance, so it could be better or worse. I'm betting there's going to be a lot of changes from here on out trying to just make it work better. So it's probably not at the end. It'll change a lot more, but we'll see how that changes over time. For now though, we just have to take the hand that was dealt to us, so let's get started. So let's cover the basics, just the basic general crafting here. The goal of crafting is to get progress from 0% to 100%. When it hits 100%, you have completed the crafting item. Quality is the percent chance that it becomes a high quality item when you finish progress. Quality, however, is weighted differently. The first half of the bar is actually lower percentage than the second half. So trying to get to the second half gives you a lot more chance of high quality than the first half of quality. Later on, you'll be able to turn quality into collectability for different turn-ins. Collectability is the same as quality, but instead of percentage, it's a set number for how high of collectability it is. Get the right amount of collectability, and then you can turn it in for a certain amount of reward. So as far as moves go, synthesis moves improve progress, while touch moves improve quality and collectability. Most of these moves also lower the durability of the item. When the durability hits 0, and if you did not complete it on that step, the craft is a failure and usually you lose the materials and the item breaks. So most touch and synthesis moves do by default 10 durability cost. Some cost 5, some 20, and there's other moves that may affect how much it costs for each move. There's also other moves that improve durability in various measures or such, instantly or over time. So there's actually a multitude of ways to actually manage that durability. Now, almost all moves complete a step, or rather a turn. A turn will tick like the number of turns that you're allowed to do a certain buff or such used in crafting. But the buffs themselves don't cost durability, but it does cost a step. So even applying a buff that doesn't affect durability might cause another buff that's currently active to lose a step that you could basically use for another synthesis or touch to improve the process. So it's important to be alert about the number of steps you're taking and how much it costs you on other moves. Now, if there is no move currently, having a buff duration or stuff, then anything that causes a step to occur really doesn't affect that at all. Now, each step that does occur has a chance to change the condition of the item. The condition is basically a modifier that allows you to use certain moves and affects the potency of a touch. Normal modifier means nothing. Good means 50% bonus. Poor means 50% less bonus, and excellent means a 300% boost in potency with a touch. You can only use certain moves when it's good or excellent condition, and the poor condition is only a condition that happens immediately following an excellent condition. Being aware of the condition can mean that you actually make a really good touch, really good, because you do it on a good or an excellent, which boosts everything by a substantial amount. So the final basic feature of crafting to go over is Inner Quiet. When Inner Quiet is activated, every touch you do basically boosts Inner Quiet. Inner Quiet boosts the abilities of touch and quality improvements. Basically, the higher Inner Quiet, the better your moves are. There's even moves that sacrifice Inner Quiet to get really good quality improvements, so you can use that to finish a craft. Some moves even boost the number of Inner Quiet by more than 1, so it's important to take a look at what your moves can do so you get the best out of Inner Quiet. Okay, so let's talk about the important reason this video was made, because there's changes to the crafting and they are significant. Moves feel like there's only a third or less than there used to be. Specialist has been gutted. Things are different. They are very different, and it feels like a completely different thing. It's been changed so much that I believe there's going to be a lot of changes in the future, so the relevance of this video might change before you even know it. So let's start with the heavy obvious change. There are 100% everywhere. Steady Hand has been taken out. Moves have been boosted to 100%. There's a lot of changes to that. Moves like Hasty Touch and Rapid Synthesis, however, have been changed so that they are always risky. You have no way to boost them up to make them higher chance. But the baseline for Hasty Touch is 10% more, though that's a lot less than the 80 you would get in Steady Hand 2, and Rapid Synthesis has 500 potency. That's a lot. So the risky moves are very risky, but they still have their place in when you just need that one final push and you have nothing to push it with. We also have a lot done with starter moves, which are kind of taking from the old specialist moves and stuff, such as improving your Inner Quiet by 3, or making it so you get complete quality on a lower level craft, or making it so that your synthesis is outrageously high for the next 5 steps. These moves are basically indicating whether you're building a house, an item you're trying to make high quality, or just a lower level item. You basically pick what kind of item you're doing by the starter move. Now, they did get rid of like redundant moves you would use at the start, like Comfort Zone. Comfort Zone was changed so that now you basically don't need it, because I mean everyone have it anyways. It's what you start off your craft with. It gives you a little bit of extra CP. They got rid of that. That's fine. Now, they also didn't even touch Inner Quiet much. It basically does the same thing. There's a limit to how much it can improve control, but it's not that changed. It's still the same way that you do craft for high quality, and Fire God's Blessing is basically entirely the complete same. So Inner Quiet wasn't touched much, and since that was the baseline of crafting, crafting hasn't really changed that much. The biggest change to crafting, though, is for the high-end crafters who were specialists. Specialists don't really have anything at all that separates them anymore. The only move that a specialist has now is Careful Observation. The only thing this move does is allow the item to basically possibly change condition while still preserving the amount of duration that your buffs have. This move can only be used the 3 times, requires the cost of delineation that requires you to pay scripts for, and doesn't even have the same effect that Observe has, which basically means that any touch or synthesis that requires Observe to get that 100% chance of success rate does not get affected by Careful Observation, making it an even more worthless move. Now, this can actually be helpful in some crafts, but at the same time, it's not like it's going to be guaranteed. It's not going to give you good help. You're not planning. You're basically just hoping that RNG changes and bam, you get a good or an excellent and you can finish your craft. But this is really the only thing that Specialist gets now, so it makes Specialist not feel special, so why be special? The only real advantage of being a Specialist now is that if a craft requires you to be a Specialist to do it, you can do it. Otherwise, you gotta wait for it to be older content before you can do it, but eventually it won't matter. But there's really no benefit to being a Specialist. You don't get no slew of moves like before that just make your crafting completely different. There's not much difference. So yeah, crafting has been significantly changed, but for better or for worse, it's really hard to tell you. I mean, it might be towards the better, but I really feel like they haven't really ground down everything yet, and they're going to make a lot, I mean a lot of changes. The devs have never really changed crafters to this extent before. I mean, they've done some small changes, and usually they would fill in the gaps with new moves, but now they've cut down some moves, they've changed everything, they've done a lot. It feels like when they're trying to change a class, and they haven't done the potency right. And so I feel like they're going to do a lot of changes over time until like 6.0. So if you feel that crafting is better or worse, just voice your opinion. It doesn't matter, because I don't think this is where it's going to stay. I think they're going to have a lot of changes, so better for worse, irrelevant. Crafting is going to continuously change, and we're going to get somewhere else in the future. So only time can tell. Well everyone, that wraps up my guide to the 5.1 changes to crafting in Final Fantasy XIV. If you liked this video, be sure to check out my other guides, videos, machinimas, etc. And be sure to leave a comment on what you want to see next, or if anything else that I should cover. As always, this is Dare Skybound, signing out.